with the reps at Diesel Bookstore. Very happy to see everybody today. Every Wednesday we get together here, if you're joining us for the first time, and we grab a beverage and a book or 10, and we meet with our fantastic publishers representatives and our excellent booksellers, and we talk about all of the new books and the books that are about to come out, and some favorites from the olden times, like 7 months ago, and and anything book related that has captured our fancy. But of course, we are in the thick of the season now. It's November, right? It's November, which means it's on. Everything is a potential gift right now, and we've got fantastic reps here to tell us all about their recommendations for the season. And I'm going to introduce all of them, and we're going to get started. And I just want to remind everybody that we have links in the chat area over there for all of the books that we talk about today. So you don't have to race to nail them down right this second. You can finish watching and then and then click on those links. They'll take you right to the book. But before I introduce everybody and we get going, and we have a full slate today, lots of books to talk about, I do want to tell you all what is going on at Diesel in the coming week. And that is going to start actually tonight. And tonight we have the Dear Friend Book Tour signing with Michelle Maros featuring Barb, Peaceful Barb Schmidt, and Jennifer Pastiloff. And that is going to be at 6:30 p.m. In the courtyard over there at Diesel tonight, November 12th. So that again is the Dear Friend Book Tour signing with Michelle Maros featuring Barb, Peaceful Barb Schmidt, and Jennifer Pastiloff. And then we have tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. Travis Holp will be discussing and signing Are You There, Spirit? It's Me, Travis, Life Lessons from the Other Side. And joining him in conversation will be Susan Grau. And that is tomorrow, November 13th at 6:30 p.m. And I have more. On Sunday at 3 p.m., we have Kim Bussing at the store reading and signing Rapunzel and the Sea Witch, or The Little Mermaid and the Tower, Princess Swap. That's going to be 3 p.m. on Sunday. That is an absolutely adorable book. So come out for that. And then I want to talk about an event we are very excited about, and that is going to be a week from Thursday, the 20th. And that's going to be Rep Night at Diesel. We're super excited about Rep Night because this is our first time doing Rep Night. And if you don't know what that means, it means that all of the reps that you no doubt have seen, well, not all of them, but 6 of them anyway, will be at the store talking about all of their favorite books and their recommendations for the holiday season. And there are going to be some fantastic reps there. We have 2 of them with us today, actually. And giveaways, raffle. I mean, it could not be more exciting. We are pumped and stoked. And that is a ticketed event. So you're going to need to go, and seating is limited, and we expect this to be a hot ticket. So you can go ahead to our website over there, and we have the full page. You can purchase the ticket, which is good for your purchase on the night. So that's Rep Night, the 20th, a week from tomorrow. All right. Now that we have discussed that bit of business, let me introduce everybody, and we'll get rolling talking about some books. So today we have with us Shannon Grant from Symonds & Schuster. Always very happy to see you, Shannon. We don't see you enough, I feel. Yeah. And we also have with us Amy Comito from Penguin, and so excited to see Amy. We haven't seen Amy for a long time. Amy has the best books. We have our returning champion, Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle. Always appreciate you, Dave. And then also joining us for the first time, we have our lovely bookseller, Ava. And she is very excited to be doing Elevenses today. Mm-hmm. Yes,
I am.
All right. Shannon, let's lead off with you today.
Okay. I
I'm just realizing that I have a full Scribner lineup, which is kind of funny and unintentional, but it speaks to the strength of their fiction list. So the first up I'm going to talk about is that Chris Kraus, All Four Spent the Day Together. I don't have it set in front of me, and that title always trips me up. But Chris is, I want to say this might be her 8th book. It's her first with us. Previously, she published with small presses, but it is so good. It's gotten amazing reviews. You may have seen, I did get the title right. You may have seen some articles and New York Times write-ups, but anyways, this is, I want to call it, it's like an auto fiction true crime mashup, and that sounds completely wild, and it is, but you are in masterful hands with Chris. It's told in like 3 very distinct parts. It's kind of like the first 2 parts are definitely like auto fiction of like her parents in kind of mid like 50s, 60s New York, and then Connecticut, and then LA, and it's definitely like her, and then it goes to Chris's kind of like teenagehood and like her wild days, and then the last part is true crime territory, and somehow it's like the Minnesota Iron Mountain Range, and it really is like 3 teenagers kidnap another teenager and end up shooting him, and she became kind of obsessed with this crime because she had rented a cabin out there. So it's almost like this epic kind of meditation on the working class America and the opioid crisis and so much more. It's so well done. It's completely propulsive. I couldn't love it more. Chris is from LA, and I feel like she's kind of like underground literary royalty, you know. I feel like if you are a reader of Rachel Kushner, then you would definitely love Chris Kraus. So yeah, this just came out a few weeks ago, and I'm super excited about it.
I feel this is another one of those, Shannon, we were talking earlier about books that came out this year that we've been thinking about for so long. It seems like last year, even though time is weird, the construct. Anyway.
Time is weird.
Yeah, time is definitely weird. And it gets weirder with this book, actually, as well. It is, and I read it, and I was curious how you were going to talk about it today, because it really
is kind of hard to talk about because it feels like you're not making sense at all, but in her hands, it all does.
It does. It flows together, and there's this sort of juxtaposition between her own, because it is, I mean, auto fiction. It's a redefinition of all kinds of genres, which is great, which I'm always up for, you know, and she's kind of known for that as well. But her own childhood, as she talks about it, kind of flows into her as an older, you know, as somebody who's already written all of these books with her husband, and then the ending with these teenagers who commit this crime, and kind of reflects a little back on her own childhood. Anyway, you can actually, it's a choose your own adventure in a lot of ways. You can kind of make it whatever you are. But one of the strongest themes here, I thought, was addiction.
Yes.
Because that runs through every one of the sections, you know. And some of it's really rough reading when she talks about her husband and his struggle with alcoholism. But super interesting.
Yeah. It's so good. And you're right about the through line that as you read it through all, and the addiction. And I really, and then the last part was so fascinating, like, because you don't understand how this, like, you know, this rural kind of poverty and opioid crisis in Minnesota kind of fits in with it all, but it really does. It is kind of a novel about America and now and then and all of it. So yeah, she's just she's brilliant, and I couldn't be
she's
more
unique,
excited,
which is in itself a rarity.
Yes.
Right. So
no one like her. I read in one of our articles, she described it not as autofiction, but like as a nonfiction novel.
Yeah. I like it. Clever. Thank you, Shannon. Amy,
So
Let's hear from you.
I'm glad you mentioned the holidays, which are fast approaching. It comes so fast. It's like a steam train. So my first two books are perfect little hostess gifts or just gifts in general. We're going to start with Ursula Le Guin's Book of Cats, which everyone knows I love cats. And I do love Ursula Le Guin. I read a lot of her science fiction. So this little gem of a book, we're going to talk just for 2 seconds about Library of America, because two of these books are Library of America, which is a nonprofit that had their funding cut. So it's the mission statement of Library of America is to preserve America's literature. So all of us reps are behind Library of America, trying to give them a push for the holidays and keep them in business since their funding was trashed. But anyway, so this is the perfect little small, I wish I had a copy. I don't have a copy, but it's a small format and it's poetry. This is actually her drawing on the cover. And I asked them to do end papers because the drawings are so cute, but none of this has been published before. So it's her drawings, her poetry, letters with her daughter, her first cat comic. It's like she was like a force. And so it's all included in this book. It's only $16.95. Great little price and beautiful for Le Guin fans, but also for cat fans. And then the second one I want to talk about is O. Henry for the holidays. So this is O. Henry's 7 stories. 2 are Thanksgiving and 5 are Christmas, including The Gift of the Magi, which is his most well-known book. And look at how beautiful that is. Like, you couldn't have a better gift. Same thing, small format, hardcover for $15 and supporting Library of America. It also has each story's biography and the backstory. So if you're a fan of O. Henry, you're getting a lot more. That's the one thing about Library of America's editions are always very comprehensive, and they have great forewords by contemporary authors, but it's like Cliff Notes for adults. They're so fantastic because they talk about the significance to American literature and all kinds of stuff like that. So this is a great gift for the O. Henry fan, but actually you could give this to anybody on your list. And the stories are, perennial and they're just wonderful. I didn't realize he'd written Thanksgiving stories. So I'm going to read the 2 Thanksgiving Day Gentlemen. I'll read that this week. So I did order a copy of this when I realized I didn't have it. But it's the perfect little gift again. And I love the package design on both of these. They mirror. So you could actually buy both for the price.
You should absolutely buy both. I mean, I see no reason why not to do that. I didn't realize there was anything of Ursula Le Guin's that wasn't published. This is what a gem this is, actually.
And we also published Sea Road at the same time. So that's actually being pulled along with this Book of Cats. So you could, if you're a real fan and you want 2 Ursula Le Guin, you could put those together too. But yeah,
fantastic.
We didn't know. And then the end papers, I'm all about the end papers because that was my idea.
Dave loves end papers. Dave will talk to you about end papers. But I'm very excited about that, Amy. Both of them, actually. I love O. Henry. The great package to introduce new readers to O. Henry and Le Guin. If there are any, I don't let anybody leave the store without talking about Le Guin if they're looking for, if they're new readers to, fantasy or science fiction, right?
And it's a great, like I read all the Le Guin when I was transitioning from adult books, from children's books to adult, back in the day, there wasn't all this great fiction for transitioning readers when they just went straight to adult books. But I did all the science fiction. That was my transition. So I read all. I love, she's such a brilliant writer, and she's one of our best in the American canon. So
excellent gifts, and also as a bonus, you get to support Library of America. Thank you, Amy. All right, Dave, let's head
Okay.
on over.
Thanks, Deborah, and thanks, Diesel, for having me today. I pretty much always start with a food book, and I am starting with a food book this morning, but it is not a book of recipes, and it is not something that is going to stimulate your taste buds. It is a practical and useful reference book for the kitchen, but a big, lavish, beautiful one. And this is The Anatomy of a Japanese Knife, the ultimate guide to the culture and craft. This comes to us from Helen Symonds and Tom Saunders. They are the London proprietors of a store called Kitchen Provisions that's been around for 10 years that specializes in chef equipment, really high-end kind of fancy equipment, including cutlery and knives, with an emphasis on Japanese knives. So this is kind of a big coffee table book, really cool exposed spine thing here, which is kind of hard to convey, but it's like the stitching over the exposed spine. And it's basically a really dynamic visual look at the history and culture of Japanese cutlery and knives. Sometimes knives are the most coveted item in a cook's kitchen, whether it be a professional cook or a home cook. It's one of the most important tools, if not the most important tool that you've got. And they're so personalized. You find a knife that you like the heft of it, the weight of it, the feel of it, and the way that you can kind of work with it. So this book looks at classic designs of Japanese knives, the shapes, the kind of materials that make up the handles. It looks at the different steels that are used and the different techniques. You get to journey into the forges and actually kind of see the process. You get to see the makers. There are interviews with multi-generational forge owners and workers, where there's, grandparents, sons, daughters, children working through generations, making these beautiful handcrafted knives. This is a maker named Matsutani Hamoto. And there's interviews and photographs of like their workspaces. And then it gets into the knives themselves. There are so many different kinds of shapes of Japanese knives. Some of them, are weighted differently. Some of them kind of feel different in the hand. And you have to kind of master how to use them for the right task. So the book tells you how to use the correct sort of blade for what you're cutting and what your purpose is with the knife. There's like an in-depth section on the handles and the construction, because that's really a huge part of the feel and the technique of the knife. There are really cool visual chapters on knife sharpening techniques, using like a whetstone technique, which we have at home. I haven't quite mastered that yet, but I'm getting better and better at it. It takes a while. And it's just like beautiful location photography, really fantastic design. It's like a super modern and very sleek book. I didn't know that there were so many kinds of professional Japanese knives. There are things like intricate engravings on them. So this kind of goes in depth with beautiful photography. And I just think it's a really dynamic book. I think maybe 20 years ago, this could have been, really intended for professionals and people that were working in restaurants. But I think home cooking has progressed in a way. And I think people have become so savvy in their home cooking and their home kitchen setup that a lot of us own beautiful Japanese knives now. And that's an investment that you make as a home cook. So it's a really handsome book for somebody that's a chef at home or professional, somebody that wants to kind of hone their game a little sharper. And it's a $42 hardcover from Quadrille, one of our food, drink, and cookbook publishers at Chronicle. Absolutely beautiful and out now.
Gorgeous book. Great gift. And I need a knife. I really need a knife so badly. And I keep making I can't find a knife that works for me. And I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed and knives are sort of intrinsically right-handed. They probably are, because things are stacked against left-handed people. But yeah. But what a gorgeous book. I can think of so many people who would absolutely love to receive this as a gift. Really great. Thank you, Dave. Ava, it's time for your inaugural Elevenses pick.
Yeah, that is so exciting. For my inaugural pick, I chose a book that I think about literally constantly ever since I read it a few years ago. And so we're going hard here. This is Chromophobia by David Batchelor. I did intentionally match it. So this is a really gorgeous art theory book that reflects on Western culture's fear of color. So David Batchelor is a painter, and he breaks down evolutionary psychology, history, philosophy, and analyzes why in the Western world we have so few bright colors in our day-to-day lives, right? So we don't engage with bright colors a whole lot in architecture, in contemporary art even, and just in our like everyday objects. And he breaks down why exactly that is. There's so many gorgeous anecdotes in this book that I think about literally constantly. One that comes up for me all the time is he has a really gorgeous analysis of Greek and Roman statues and sort of why we romanticize these really particular forms of like high white art, and how at their time, many of these really, really famous statues and even paintings were used with really, really vivid colored paints. And over time, those have degraded, those have faded, those have peeled off. And as a result, we see white art as superior, where in their time, they actually were really bright colors. And yeah, this is an absolutely gorgeous book. I think about it again constantly, because once you notice, oh, wow, we see bright colors in this really particular lens, you can't stop noticing it in your day-to-day life. I think about it all the time when I get dressed. I think about it when I was looking for an apartment here in Los Angeles, and I was noticing, oh, wow, every single apartment is really depressing millennial gray. It's white. It's like stark. Every single time that I engage with either a neutral or a bright color, I'm thinking about this book. And even though it's an art theory book, it's super relevant to just any average person. I don't really consider myself primarily like a visual artist, but it's relevant to fashion, it's relevant to film, it's relevant to interior design, and kind of just larger emotional and philosophical realities. Yeah, so that's Chromophobia.
What a great book. This is what I love about Elevenses. Like I haven't seen this book at all. And it really is funny that yes, you dress to match the book, but I put this on completely independently, and this is not a color that I ever wear. I don't even know why I bought this sweater. But I'm wearing it because we saw so many pictures last night of people posting the aurora borealis, and this is one of the two, the green and this color, right? And people are just really drawn to it, but it's true. I normally just wear black like all the time.
Yeah.
So
well, honestly, I'm thrilled that you wore it, because again, this book totally rewired my brain, and it made me think about how powerful bright colors are, especially just emotionally for us, right? And so when you're wearing something bright,
and that anecdote about the statues is so interesting, because I just recently saw pictures of what they looked like when they were when they were first created, and it's completely. I mean, you look at it and you're like, wait, it does exactly what you're saying. Rewire your brain when you think about, oh, this is how they intended it to look.
Yeah, totally.
Really interesting.
It's just how you see history in general.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ava.
Yeah.
All right, Shannon, back to you.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a book called Sea Scraper by Benjamin Wood. This was went on sale last week. Was November 4th last week? That was last week. I can't believe it's November 12th here. So this just went on sale, and for some like insider baseball publishing, we crashed this in when to our season. That means we kind of sold it outside of our regular selling cycle, but when it was longlisted for the Booker Prize, which is very exciting. And it didn't make the short list, but I feel like it is just a beautiful little gem of a novel. It clocks in at only 176 pages, which I feel very appreciative of. But it takes place in northern England in a small village feels maybe post World War II, and it's about a young man who's maybe 20, and he is kind of living he's resigned to his existence as a shanker, which means he's like hitching up his a cart to a horse every day and doing what his grandfather and his great grandfather did, and going out at low tide and scraping the shore for shrimp. And it's cold and atmospheric, and the prose is just beautiful and spare and sparkling. I would be happy just reading about him because the words are so beautiful. But then comes along a film producer who seeks him out to scout a location for a movie, and things get more interesting from there. But it just feels like one of these timeless, atmospheric, gorgeous like gems of a novel that you can get lost into, but it's short enough that you can take it down in one big gulp. It's really beautiful.
I don't know how I missed this one, Shannon.
Because we crashed it in.
I mean, I usually it's got all of my qualifications. It's a Booker listed, and it's short.
Yes. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I think you will. I will. We will get a copy for you to read. But like, it was really last minute. We didn't have galleys or anything of it. It just when it was longlisted for the Booker, it got acquired really quickly, and we rushed it to publication. So I'm very excited that it's going to be available to hand sell for the holidays, though. That's
me too. Excellent. Thank you, Shannon. All right, back to you, Amy.
Okay, so my next book is Sacrament by Susan Straight. Susan is one of our most beloved Southern California authors. She lives in Riverside. And this book, I don't want you to be turned off when I say it has to do with COVID. I'm just going to read you a little bit of the LA Times. Susan Straight's Sacrament, her best novel yet, is an ode to California nurses during the COVID surge. The LA Times dubbed Straight as the bard of overlooked California, and Sacrament proves the praise. Diving deeper than the quotient of her characters' loneliness, poverty, and fear, Straight brings us inside their exhausted minds. So it does take place during the pandemic, but it's beautifully written. It's 4 characters. It's basically these group of nurses. They're living in RVs because they don't want to infect their family. So they're living together, and they're ICU nurses during COVID. So that's the outline. And then they all have their, it's the story of their lives, what's happening while all this is going on. And it's just a beautiful insight to what it would be like to have been in that situation. We all know it was high pressure. But she beautifully documents it, even though this is fiction. It does read like memoir at parts. So it's a beautiful. She's been nominated for she received the Lifetime Achievement Robert Kirsch Award from the LA Times. She's just one of our best writers. So this just came out this month. A great great book for your book groups. And documenting the pandemic, which is super important, specifically how it impacted us in our area. So, but really, really heavy, but important read.
I think it's interesting for me to see. I don't mind reading COVID books or as they come out, but this sort of, I don't know if we're on the second or third wave of COVID books, but I think maybe still the second wave. But it's really interesting. There was the immediate response with writers, and you saw books when we were like still in the middle of it, kind of. And then right after, and everybody was like, no, we're done with that. Really don't want to read about it. And so the way that was approached, and now we're starting to get, I think, kind of deeper, more reflective of how people are sort of understanding how it affected us in other ways. This will take a long time to unravel and through time. But I think that this is one of those more thoughtful kind of meditations on the pandemic, right?
Yeah, she doesn't write an instant book, so she's
Right,
one of
right.
our
But just the different perspective. So it's really
Right.
interesting for me to read it as they, as they're coming out, and she's a great voice to be talking about something like this. So thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Dave?
All right. Changing it up a little bit here with a little bit of Chronicle snarky and dark humor. As you know, we are the masters at Chronicle of countertop impulse titles, especially those with kind of a humorous bent, fun humor books. This is the follow-up and sequel to Dave Tarnowski's very, very popular 2024 release, Disappointing Affirmations. That book, he created that to combat toxic positivity, to embrace the dark feelings within, and sort of to wallow humorously in negativity and almost the opposite of self-help, because there are so many self-help books on the market. There are so many people telling you like it's okay not to be okay, but then it feels like they really actually need you to be okay. It's okay to not be okay, and we're going to wallow in it here in this hilarious little bite-sized book. The first book, like this book, was a sort of a spin. I'm just going to open to a page that I don't have a marker in so it doesn't fall out. I have markers in quite a few of these. He takes like an inspirational poster with like a sunset or a creek or a forest or something beautiful, and then puts these very pithy, very kind of snarkily negative phrases on them. I like this one with this beautiful Grand Canyon image. It gets better for like a minute or two every now and then. Enjoy it while it lasts. So it's got this kind of like little single panel gag humor. Wherever you go, there you are. The same bundle of neuroses, just in a different location. So I think we can all relate to that. Need a break but can't get away? Go on a spiral. I like this one. Prioritize your mental health. Avoid people whenever possible. So I think a lot of us can relate to the kind of dark humor of this. Don't be afraid to try new things, like lowering your expectations. This is for like the pessimist on your list. This is for the snarky friend you have that's always got this sort of a dark, skewed way to look at things. I really like this one. Today I will step out of my comfort zone just to pick something up from the store, and then I'm coming right back. This is a book that probably came out of COVID and came out of like being kind of stuck inside with your own thoughts and your own dark perspective, and then realizing, wait a minute, there's a lot of humor to mine in this kind of playful sarcasm. The jacket unfolds into a motivational poster, which tells us that everything will be okay with an asterisk. Results may vary. So, you have this up at your register. You had the first book up at your register. You have a nice big stack in the store, I believe. And it is just something that has sold really well for us in indie bookstores nationwide. We've done a pencil set, a postcard book, and motivational flashcards. More to come.
Oh, good. I'm glad there's
Depressingly, more to come.
I loved the disappointing affirmations when it first came out. I mean, I was a huge proponent of this book and a seller of it to people, and I did get some pushback from a certain kind of person who's like, "Why do you want to be so negative? It's such a negative book." And I'm like, "This is the book for you. You need this book. Lighten up."
Right.
Have a sense of humor. It's really fun. It's really fun and a great little gift. And a good lesson in not taking yourself too seriously, right? Thank you, Dave. Ava, what's your second book?
Hi. So I did, in fact, have a theme for today, and the theme is bright colors, or colors in general. So
I love Ava's got themes.
I do have themes. I always bring themes. And this next pick is Bluettes by Maggie Nelson. I'm sure this is one that many of our audience is already somewhat familiar with. If you know The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson, that's one of my staff picks right now because she's just an unbelievably talented writer. But this is her take on the color blue. So it's written in a really unique form. It's basically like a list of observations of things that are the color blue, people who are blue, moments where she felt blue. And in her typical style, she mixes memoir with poetry, with philosophy, with history, and it's just utterly gorgeous. I think it's a really great book to read. Actually, moving on from Dave's kind of pessimistic moment, I think it's a great book to read if you're feeling blue. She goes through so many gorgeous people's observations of everything that's blue in their lives and kind of what that means for them. And I think about it all the time. Again, just like chromophobia, once you start thinking about color in a particular lens, you see it every day, you notice it every day, and I cannot recommend it enough.
I have a copy of this book on my, special books that I want to refer to, over and over again. That's near that's near me at all times that I can pull up. And of course, again, it's one of my qualifications. It's short, so I can, when a book is short, I can read more. More faster. But this is not actually this book. You have to kind of take your time a little bit with it. Because,
right. No, totally.
The stuff she's talking about is very thinky, and it'll take you down some rabbit holes in your own imagination. So I found that with it, it stopped me in a couple of places, and I sort of had to think about it.
I very much like, it's one of those books that you can read genuinely like a page and then just be thinking about that page for like days. So similar to you, Deborah, I'm actually rereading it right now, and it's taking me a very long time to get through, but I'm so enjoying the process. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah. She's terrific. She's an excellent writer. Another one of those like Chris Kraus, who kind of defies genre expectations, I think.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ava. All right, Shannon, why don't you lead off the last round of the day?
All right. So before we started filming today, Deborah and I did a happy dance together because one of her favorite books of the year, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was one of your favorites of the year, right?
It's absolutely probably, if somebody was asking about what are your top 5, the best books you've read this year. And I think that one's at number 1 for me. So.
Okay, well, excellent taste, Deborah. So this year's Booker winner was Flesh by David Saloy. Deborah and I also just confirmed that we are saying that right now. And this this came out, if you are a frequent Elevenser watcher, or Elevenses watcher, we talked about this back in April when it came out, because you're just a fan of his in general. But since then, it has gone on to win the Booker. It's been longlisted for the Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Fiction, and was a Kirkus finalist in fiction. So that's all and just like applauded and well reviewed all around. Like, nobody can say anything but amazing things about this book. But I would say that it's been quieter on like the massive like selling, like what's just going out the door in indies. So I'm hopeful that this all the acclaim will make it start to fly off the shelves now. It is sort of, it's really a meaty novel, but it starts with a teenage boy who is living kind of in a housing project in Hungary, and it is snippets or time pieces throughout his life on this trajectory toward his later in life in London, and like surrounded by wealth. And his writing is just so, I want to say, like deceptively simple and propulsive. And it's really a lot about masculinity and like so much wrapped up into this book. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And I feel like Deborah talks about it so much more eloquently than I can, but it's just one of the best things out this year. And I truly urge you, if you haven't heard of us talking about it already, and that you can pick it up now. And reprints are on the way. So definitely will be back on shelves before the holidays.
I try not to talk about it too much because I then
know.
don't stop talking, though, is the problem. And people want me to shut up. I love him, as you said, Saloy. I've been a fan of his for his book Turbulence kind of all right, changed my life, not really, but it shifted my perspective in a really fundamental way, especially when it comes to writing. And it made me want to, I had a period of not writing, and it made me want to start writing again. And it's also a short book, then he was shortlisted for All That a Man Is, and masculinity and how men are in the world is a big concern of his, David Saloy. He's but this one really takes it to a different level. So the main character Isvan is he never. I read an article today where it said that he said okay 500 times in the novel, right? So that's it's completely lacking any kind of interiority. You don't have it. You go through his life, and there's a central question here about. Does these events happen to us, or do we influence them? How much is choice and how much isn't? And how much of that choice is dependent on societal expectations or pressures, depending on whether you're a man or not a man, or an immigrant. There are themes of that as well. It's incredible. It's absolutely kind of mind-blowing on a fundamental level, and not least because of his skill as a writer. He's just an amazing
For sure.
Yeah. So I'll stop now, but you've got to read this book. It's so good.
And read it, and definitely I feel like your perspective shifts. I mean, he does. It's like I almost feel like it's what he's not saying that makes you think about these existential kind of questions in life and humanity and all of that.
And it's absolutely, it's very, it sounds very deep and dense, but it's not. It's incredibly readable. So.
Oh yeah, it's the simplicity of his prose makes it so readable, and it goes down so easy, even though there are all of these big themes that are being grappled with, I think. So beautiful.
And that's why I don't talk about it, because it's like 10 minutes now. Thank you, Shannon. I'm really excited that he won the Booker. Really excited. Amy, your last book of the day.
My last book of the day is gonna win a Booker or Books in Translation because it's serious. It's called I Deliver Parcels in Beijing, and it's a memoir. And basically, again, this is another COVID sort of book. It came out, the author, this is his first book. And during COVID, he delivers parcels. He works all kinds of odd jobs in China, in Beijing. And so it's talking about the gig economy and, what actually makes it work, especially, in China. But it turns out like what happens in China also happens in America. So there's parallels, right? But so he wrote a couple of essays and they went viral in China, and people said, please write more, please write more. So this book is actually, that's where it came from. He's not a writer, although he writes a lot. He writes comic books. It's him expressing the voice of the millions of people who do the labor that's required in every country to make the society work. So as I read it, he's got a very funny voice. Parts of it read like fiction, and you're laughing along with him, but it's like it does reflect, a lot of our young people jump from job to job to job, and it's just a sense of, you're doing this brutal work, and what's the future? So it was, I realized it was the same thing that's happening in America. But I just thought the way he wrote it, and the 19 different jobs. Like, I did not know how stressful it is to be a package deliverer, or, you know, he's biking his packages around his bike. It's so like things that you just don't even realize. The stress of being a delivery driver alone is enough to give you hives. So I just think it's an important book to look at. You know, we champion our wonderful high functioning society, but what does it take to make it work? And you need these, you know, the youngsters, you need all parts of our society, which again has a little resonance right now with what's going on. But I just think it's a book. When I read it, I thought this book could be nominated for books in translation, because it's that poignant, it's that important, and really pretty brilliant for someone who hadn't written a book and honestly has done all these different jobs. So he's not a writer, but he's the voice of his generation in China. So it's a bestseller in China. It's been sold in 17 countries. I do expect now that it's being brought out in English that it could garner some awards. Just out in paperback. Really important read. So a little more serious than what I usually pick. But again, like book groups could read this. And I think it's good in the holidays. You know, tip your drivers. tip your people, because it's important to know how hard that job really is. So anyways, that's my serious pick for a gift.
I love this cover. It's like mesmerizing. Amy, you know I'm a fan of profession confessions, right? I mean, having written
True.
one.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and being in the service industry especially, I'm really excited about this book. I didn't know it existed, so I'm really excited. I'm gonna get myself a copy of that.
Yeah, well, I'll send you one. It's getting so many, you know, Wired, Washington Press. It's just getting so many wonderful reviews. And yeah, I always like that, because when I like a book, it kind of confirms like, oh, you're right. You're not just in a strange reading experience. I do like to be able to say, hey, I picked that one. That was not good. And it's because it was a great book. So it also could be used in course adoptions too and stuff like that. But, you know, it's just out. So
I'm super excited. I'm super excited to read this one. Excellent. Thank you, Amy.
Sure.
Dave, let's wrap it up for the day.
Let's bring it home. Okay. Last pick for today is going to be A Year of Junk Journaling, a really fun DIY arts and crafts book from the brilliant Martina Calvi. This comes to us from Quadrille, again, one of our imprints at Chronicle. I don't usually do arts and crafts books or DIY or crafty things, so this is kind of new for me to talk about here. But this is a really, really cool book. Martina did a book about 1.5 years ago that was called The Art of Memory Collecting. She has been journaling and scrapbooking since she was a small child. She is a collector of little ephemeral bits, things like gum wrappers, things like little photos. I mean, there's even like a twist tie on this page, matchbooks, little paper scraps and ephemera. They're all throughout our lives. So much of what we amass and what we collect or what we have is now digital, and it sits on our stupid phones. And if you lose the phone, you drop the phone in a river, your memories are gone. I know you uploaded them to cloud, but please, it's not the same thing. So holding on to this stuff, when you're traveling, I like to collect paper ephemera. Things like ticket stubs, things like little bits of brochures or maps. And then she has here 52 really fun and colorful art projects where you can take those ephemeral paper scraps and take themes and put some thought into how you use them to scrapbook, how you use them in a journal. You can affix them to the pages and do kind of decoupage-y type of things. Or my idea too is that you can do prints or standalone like a mood board or a collage piece and frame it. But she does things like snack time. These are all little snack wrappers. Maybe you collect candy bar wrappers. Maybe you have little gum wrappers. These are ways to use them. She tells you how to collect them, wrappers, labels, or recipes from your snacks. Illustrations are stickers of food items. And then once you collect, you reflect. You think about, what's the project I'm making with this? What do I love about these snacks or these wrappers? You can do this for any one of the projects in the books. And then you create, you gather all the little paper ephemera, you arrange them into a grid or a collage, and then you embellish them with stickers, things like washi tape, bric-a-brac, little scraps of fabric. She does like a monochrome collection here of black and white pieces, and then shows you how to incorporate little pops of color. I love this one, Tea Time, where she has collected little dongles from tea bags and then makes these kind of grids and these different colorful sort of decoupage types of projects. This is pretty cool. A hole punch technique where you take images or shapes and then you use a hole punch to kind of punch holes in them, create like a little Swiss cheese kind of effect. You could even do that to have like images, colors, or textures come through another image. Kind of a clever idea to play with the paper. All kinds of stuff in this book. Little cute die cut cover, and the projects are just really hands-on. They're really easy. She says this is a great book for perfectionists because it's not perfect. Paper craft and collage is all about following your impulses. It is not a perfect science. What's fun about it is that it's not perfect. It's not precise. You get to kind of go wild and be free form. This book is also good for people that are afraid of losing memories or want to hold on to things visually. I have like boxes and boxes of just paper scraps. It's a mess inside the box, but it's organized in that it's in a cute IKEA box in my closet. So a lot of us hold on to these little scraps to remember things, to remember people, to remember experiences by. It's great for that. And it's great for anybody that's feeling stymied. You know, you don't need formal training to be a collagist. We can all do it. We all have these materials at hand. Everybody has got paper scrap in their lives, be it photos, tea bag, dongles, paper candy wrappers, whatever. You can do something fun with it. You can do something memorable with it. And you can make really amazing keepsake gifts for people in your lives that have like your memory and these kind of wonderful warm triggers. I just made that up in them. So 52 projects from Martina Calvi in a really beautiful little art book.
What a clever book. And also, you know what I love about this book, Dave? It's really anti-AI.
Yes.
It's completely like the opposite of AI. And I think the more we have of that, the better. Like actually encouraging people to touch real things and make real things that can't be generated in space. And that are so much worse than the original things that they're stealing from.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's such a great idea because it's not setting you up for failure in any way because it's so open and you don't need any kind of real skill to do it. I was at an adult party recently. It was actually a 40th birthday party. And at one point, our hostess brought out little paint by number canvases with, you know, there were little kits with the, and it was like Lilo and Stitch was like a Disney thing, right? And I'm telling you, there was like 50 people there and everybody like fell into this paint by number thing and could not be roused even for like cake or anything else that was happening for the rest of the day. Everybody was so invested in doing this art project, old, young, everything in between. It was like so interesting to see. And I think it is great. And I think we're kind of hungry for that and want that. And then whenever we have an opportunity to actually dive into real things that you do with your hands and, you know, and create, it's very, it's stimulating and exciting and like really fun, you know?
It's gratifying. And then you have this keepsake that it's attached to memories because you collected these scraps. These little paper bits mean something to you. So everything is imbued with some kind of deeper meaning or a connection or a memory. And that's really kind of what her intent is.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. And thank you, everybody, for such wonderful, thought provoking, and ultimately giftable books today. It really has just been such a great season. I'm always so excited to come and hear what everybody has to say on Elevenses every week. I mean, my pile gets added to, but You know, that's the beauty of it. I'm writing stuff down. I can't wait. So thank you all for sharing your time and your books with us today. Shannon Grant from Simon and Schuster, Amy Comito from Penguin,
Thank
Dave
you.
Ehrlich from Chronicle, and Ava, thank you. I hope you had a great time doing Elevenses for the first time. We will see you again. And hopefully we will see all of you again as well. We'll be back next week with more reps, more books, and a lot more to talk about. So we look forward to seeing you all then. Have a great week, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Bye, everyone.